Right now, Sony is looking incredibly desperate. I can't believe the things they're kind of getting away with and the things that they're actually saying and doing. So this was pretty interesting when this popped up, and I knew that I wanted to do a video about it pretty much right away. But what's going on is, according to this anyway, Microsoft says it offered Sony a 10-year deal to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, but PlayStation themselves declined comment and looks like they're not interested in that. Now think about this for a second. 10 years is huge. This is the second time that Sony has denied a offer from Microsoft, and this is a significant offer. The reason why this is important is because it's going to show regulators that realistically it's not about how many years Microsoft offers Sony something. It's like Sony doesn't care. Microsoft could go, here's a 30-year deal to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, and Sony would still decline it, because at the end of the day it was never about Call of Duty on PlayStation or not, because it always made sense for Microsoft to put that on PlayStation and keep that on PlayStation, because that makes a lot of money for them. What it all boils down to is Sony's fear of Game Pass. That's right, Sony fears the day when Call of Duty launches day one in Game Pass, and people don't have to spend $550 on a PlayStation 5 and another $70 on the game to play it. They can spend, $250 on a Series S and a subscription to Game Pass, and that's all they'll need. And to me, I think that is, exactly what it comes down to. And I think that this is actually going to end up hurting Sony more than they probably wanted it to. But I want to get into it. Should be a good video. What's up, everybody? Crap Gamer with Crap Gamer Reviews, back with yet another video. Thank you for checking it out. I appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think. Again, I'm looking for 100 likes on the videos. I know it's like a stupid small goal or whatever, but it really does mean a lot if you guys could do that and help me out, because you know what, at the end of the day, it really just kind of all comes down to you guys and enjoying the content and things like that. So honestly, I do want things to kind of continue to just go well for everybody. So anyway, with that being said, should be a fun video, like I said earlier. Now, Microsoft says it offered a 10-year deal to Sony. PlayStation also denies that it lied to regulators and overstating the importance of Call of Duty in their talks. The Xbox maker told the New York Times that it offered the 10-year deal to Sony on November 11th, and Sony declined to comment on the claim. The future Call of Duty series as a multi-platform product is one of the key areas that's being examined by worldwide regulators who are trying to scrutinize Microsoft's proposed deal with Activision Blizzard. Of the 16 governments reviewing the deal, only Saudi Arabia and Brazil have approved so far, although Microsoft says it expects Serbia to do so shortly. In September, Xbox boss Phil Spencer said Microsoft had committed to making Call of Duty available on PlayStation for several more years after Sony's current deal with Activision expires, which will reportedly follow the release of a new game from Black Ops developer Treyarch in 2024. However, PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, who is reportedly seeking access to future games on equal terms in perpetuity, which is forever, which is absolutely ridiculous to think that they could get that in writing or something, responded publicly saying Microsoft's proposal was inadequate on many levels. Since then, the UK and European regulators have expanded their initial inquiries into the deal into in-depth investigations, and Microsoft has said it's willing to make concessions on the future Call of Duty series. Now, the other week, Phil Spencer said he was open to making a commitment to Sony and regulators that Call of Duty would stay on PlayStation on a longer-term basis than currently agreed, now seemingly referring to the 10-year offer. Microsoft's head of gaming told The Verge's Decoder podcast, "This idea that we would write a contract that says the word forever in it, I think is a little bit silly. But to make a longer-term commitment that Sony would be comfortable with, that regulators would be comfortable with, I have no issue with that at all." Announcing its decision to probe the acquisition in further detail in September, the UK's Competition and Markets Authority said it considers the Call of Duty sufficiently important that losing access to it or losing access on competitive terms could significantly impact Sony's revenue and user base. Now, responding back to the CMA decision, Microsoft called the regulators' concerns misplaced and claimed that it adopts Sony's complaints without the appropriate level of critical review. And it has now accused Sony of misleading the regulators, telling the New York Times that the company overstates the importance of Call of Duty due to its viability. In the statement, PlayStation boss Jim Ryan told the publication it's not true that this company has misled regulators. Microsoft is a tech giant with a long history of dominating industries, and it is highly likely that the choices gamers have today will disappear if this deal goes ahead. In the aforementioned interview with The Verge, Phil Spencer said that Xbox will struggle to continue as a global business if the company doesn't establish a foothold in mobile, and claimed the Activision Blizzard deal is primarily about acquiring Candy Crush maker King, not Call of Duty. So again, you have Jim Ryan kind of going back and forth on this. You have Microsoft and them kind of, really just going all out, throwing haymakers. And the funny thing to me is this. Jim Ryan doesn't really give a damn about, there's not going to be less choice. Why would there be less choice if this deal goes through? If anything, there would be more choice, because people would be able to play. Like, listen, Game Pass, for one thing, is huge, and all of the games, all the Call of Duty games going into Game Pass, all of them would be huge. It would be huge. It opens up the door for so many more players, not less players. It's not getting taken away from PlayStation at all. So the fact of the matter is, Jim Ryan doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and he really just pissed off because at the end of the day, it looks very sweet to a person wanting to play Call of Duty and not having to buy a PlayStation 5 or buy the game on PlayStation 5, and that takes money out of his pocket. And so they're kind of doing this. I don't think there's one single game in the industry that, to be quite frank, is that big to where losing it would hurt to the level that they're trying to make it out to be. And I just think that, honestly, it just comes down to the fact that you have this game, which is a big game, mind you, and you take Sony's platform off the advertising, and there's no more exclusive content. It's so funny to me that Jim Ryan wants content parity, which means they both get the same content at the same time, and game parity, when he pays for content right now, right? He pays for extra content that Xbox can't get. So the hypocritical nature of what he's asking is, to me, absolutely just blows my mind, and to see that people are kind of out there not not for whatever reason or whatever, you know what I'm saying? To me, it just doesn't make sense, and it's one of the things that kind of just ticks me off just as a fan, because I'm sitting here going, this doesn't really make a whole hell of a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, Microsoft is, they're trying to do something good, and you've got Sony, who are trying to just put the kibosh on all of this stuff. So yeah, I do find it to be very frustrating and annoying, to say the least. And at the end of the day, I think it'll come down to what these regulators have to say. But I think Sony, to be quite honest, are taking advantage of a company, or of these people, these regulators, that really don't know anything about the video game industry. They're just saying, oh, woe is us, we can't do this, we can't do that. And in the meantime, Sony basically, probably, in my opinion anyway, and rumored, so take that with a grain of salt, that they can't even announce their own buyouts right now, because there's been rumors that they bought other companies, possibly even Square, but they can't announce that because that would make them look bad. Same thing with announcing exclusives. They can't announce exclusives and all these exclusive deals that they have. They can't do that themselves when they're sitting there, and even though they know how important it is, when they're sitting there saying, oh, well, there's this, that, and the other thing, and here's Microsoft trying to buy stuff so they can have stuff, and, and then they can't do that because it makes them look even worse. But this looks really bad, that it looks like Sony has turned down multiple deals, and a 10-year deal in the eyes of regulators would be huge. I mean, imagine, somebody buying something, and then some other company that realistically was using, they're still going to get access to that. You can't dictate what somebody can do with something that they own. It's utterly ridiculous to think that. So anyway, I don't know. This is just blowing my mind still. It does. It blows my mind. Let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. Thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.